our system.
We take refuge in the
Kind root lineage lamas. We take refuge in the deities of the mandalas, the universe. We take refuge in all the exalted Buddhas. We take refuge in the perfect Dharma.
We take refuge in the excellent order of the Sanghas. We take refuge in all the noble
August Jaginis, the Dharma guardians, possessors of the eye of wisdom.
Transcend the skin.
So,
Sorry. We got a little distracted.
Transcend Sawadanju Brajebe Bade Lama Damba Nam La Jasuju Yedan Jigruji La So Nam La Jasuju Sanje Jom Den Den Nam La Jasuju Tambe Chö Nam La Jasuju Abe Gende Nam La Jasuju Awo Kandro Che Chon So Me To Ye She Ki Chen Demba Nam La Jasuju.
Until I attain the heart of enlightenment, I take refuge in all the Buddhas. I take refuge in the Dharma, and likewise in the
assembly of the Bodhisattvas. I take refuge in Buddhist and Bodhisattvas in mind, and progress the Bodhisattva's path. I too, for the benefit of all sentient beings, give birth to bodhicitta and apply myself to accomplish the stages of the path.
Until I attain the heart of enlightenment,
I take refuge in all this. I take refuge in the Dharma, and likewise in the assembly of the Bodhisattvas. As the previous Buddhas embrace enlightened mind and progress on the Bodhisattva's path, I too, for the benefit of all sentient beings, give birth to bodhicitta and apply myself to the precious stage of the path. Yembara Yembara Sanje Nala Jasuchi Chedan Chanchu Sembaye Solan Deshi Jasuchi Chedra Hunje Deshi Chi Chanchu Done Jebada Chanchu Sembela Bala Dedai Deshi Nebada Deshin Dolai Pendan Tu Chanchu Semne Chigishin Deshin Tu Nela Bala Prembashin Dola Bachi.
In the Buddha, the Dharma,
the Sangha most excellent. I take refuge into enlightenment is reached. By the merit of generosity and the good deeds, may I attain Buddhahood for the sake of all sentient beings. In the Buddha, and the Dharma, and the Sangha most excellent. I take refuge into enlightenment is reached. By the merit of generosity and the good deeds, may I attain Buddhahood for the sake of all sentient beings. Chedan Zogi Chonala Chanchu Bradu Lane Jasuchi Layi Jin Soji Be Sonanchi Rolai Pinchre Sanje Dubrashu.
May all mothers, sentient beings, boundless as the sky,
have happiness and the causes of happiness. May they be liberated from suffering and the causes of suffering. May they never be separated from happiness that is free from sorrow. May they rest in equanimity, free from attachment and aversion. May all other sentient beings, as the sky, have happiness and the causes of happiness. May they be liberated from suffering and the causes of suffering. May they never be separated from happiness that is free from sorrow. May they rest in equanimity, free from attachment and aversion. Nyambe simchen tanche dewa dan deve judan demra chuchi. Done dan done ki judan devra chuchi. Done me be dewa dan me devra chuchi. Chada ni dan da ve da nyo la ne bra chu chi.
Go to the 100 syllable mantra. In this book it is on page 24, thank you. So we do the English one time, and then we'll do the Sanskrit 3 times, please. Om Vajrasattva Samaya. Help to protect my vow to purify myself. May you remain firm with me.
Grant me the complete satisfaction. Grow with me.
Be loving towards me. Grant me the attainments to master the powers beyond body and nature. Show me all the deeds of body, speech, and mind. Make my heart good, virtuous, auspicious. Revel in the bliss of the four joys, O blessed one, who embodies the essence of divinity. Do not abandon me. Grant me the realization of the indestructible nature. Make me one with you. Thus I signify my unity with non-duality. Ah. Om Vajra
Sattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajra Sattva Tino Bhadishtanjito Me Bhava Sudhakayo Me Bhava Subhakayo Me Bhava Adirato Me Bhava Samasiddhi Me Bhava Savagrama Sutame Sepa Shriya Kuru Ha ha ho Bhagavan Savadathai Vedra Mame Metsa Vedra Bhava Samaya Sadhu Vedra Sadhu Samaya Manupalaya Vedra Sattva Tino Bhadishtanjito Me Bhava Sudhakayo Me Bhava Subhakayo Me Bhava Anurato Me Bhava Savasiddhi Me Bhava Savagrama Sutame Tsiddhan Shriya Kuru Aho Bhagavan Savadathai Vendra Mame Matsa Vendra Bhava Samaya Sadhu Om Vendra Sadhu Samaya Manupalaya Vendra Sadhu Tino Bhadishtanjito Me Bhava
Sudhakayo
Me Bhava Subhakayo Me Bhava Anirato Me Bhava Savasiddhi Me Bhava Karma Sutame Tsiddhan Shriya Guru Ha 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 ho Bhagavan Savadathagata Vedramamimutsa Bhavama Samaya Sato.
Seven-limb prayer. Should we do the seven-limb prayer? Seven-limb prayer, please, everybody. Depending on what book you're in.
22.
Oh, okay, thank you. I bow down respectfully with my body, speech, and faithful mind to all Tathagatas in the 10 directions. Those who have already reached the Tathagata states, those who are reaching at present, and those who are Tathagatas still to come. Through the power of Samantabhadras prayers, may all Buddhas manifest vividly in my mind. I prostrate to them, multiplying my body as many times as there are atoms of the earth. In each item I visualize as many Buddhas as there are atoms, surrounded by the countless Bodhisattvas. Thus all space is filled with the Buddhas and the Bodhisattvas. I praise all Buddhas through the magnificent chanting, expressing the great oceans of their excellent qualities. All Buddhas may make offering to various pure flowers, flower garden for the music, and oils, magnificent light, and fragrant incense. I make offering to the house of fine garments, perfume, and potpourri, piled high as mountains, arranged in the most beautiful way. I visualize the highest and the most excellent of offerings, and offering them great faith to the all Buddhas. I prostrate to the Buddhas and make offering to them, following the deeds of the great Bodhisattvas Samantabhadra. I confess to all the Buddhas whatever negative action I have committed due to power of anger, desire, and ignorance. I rejoice in the merit of all the Buddhas in the 10 directions, of the great Bodhisattvas and the Pratyeka Buddha, those who have attained Arhatship, those who have attained to the path of the Arhatship, and all other beings. I request all great protectors and the Buddhas to the turn of the highest will Dharma, as the light dispelling the darkness of beings in 10 directions, lead them gradually in the enlightenment state. I supplicate to the Buddhas intended to pass into Nirvana, to live long for as many aeons as there are atoms of the earth, in order to benefit all beings. Whatever merit I gathered through prostrations, offerings, confession, rejoicing, beseeching to pray, for the sake of the all-enlightenment of all sentient beings, all this I dedicate. And the offering?
Oh, yes, short.
Is it necessary to do the offering?
No, sure, mandala.
Mandala offering, so on page 26, on your books at home, you may not have this. Very short mandala offering and the request for teaching. The ground is sprinkled with scented water and strewn with flowers. It is
The dawn, the meadow, the spring mountains,
the four continents and the sun and the moon. As the Buddha field I offer it. May all sentient beings attain the happiness of the Buddha field. Sashi Pochu
Choje me do ta riva le je ne de jambandi sanje she la me de pova ye rogre nanda shindo je vrasho.
Om Guru Ratna
Mandala
Deva Dakini Ratna Mandala. Please turn the wheel of the Dharma of the two vehicles and their combinations according to the dispositions and likewise the mental capacities of sentient beings.
Namje Sambhata Loye Seda Chitawa Se cho te bon te pa ye, che gen ko lo kro de so. Okay, so I think we'll do first short meditation. I'm going to lead some meditation, so please sitting comfortable. Okay. Aye. And the most important, relaxing our precious body, precious mind and heart, and precious breathing. Let's breathe 3 times. Inhale, exhale. So now we're going to meditate today first. Loving kind and compassion. So let's think about first. Meditate or visualizing in front of you, front of yourself, all living beings, including our loved ones, families, friends, all living beings with us, whether they are alive, whether they are already passed away, doesn't matter. Just be with us. And we are going to cultivating first loving kindness, meditation, which is wishing oneself and others, living beings, be happy and at peace, and our mind and the body resting. Nature state mind with the loving kindness. So then continue meditation about the compassion. Again, oneself, all living beings, wish them free from all the causes of suffering and pain and so on. Remain our mind in nature with the compassion, our awareness, our concentrations, our focus with the compassion and the resting mind, nature state with the compassion. So then we're going to meditate again, continue bodhicitta, which is awakened mind, which is enlightened mind. Wishing all living beings completely free from the all afflictive emotions, including ignorance. Wishing self and others reach to enlightenment state, Buddhahood. And the resting mind, ourselves with the bodhicitta, our concentration with the bodhicitta, our focus with the bodhicitta, awareness with the bodhicitta, and remain our mind and the body and the breathing, our nature state to continue meditation. So continue meditation. Let's visualize at your heart chakra, full moon, completely full moon, radiating light. Just focus there. Awareness with the full moon, concentration with the full moon, everything with the full moon, nature state of the body and breathing and mind and heart. Which full moons represents the relative bodhicitta, which simple means loving kindness, compassion. So continue visualizing about the full moon, visualizing if it is possible. Of course, many of you familiar with the Vajra. The Vajra, which is called the Vajra, like a five-point Vajra. About the full moon, visualize as a crystal, as a light of the crystal, nature of the light. That Vajra 5 point represents the ultimate bodhicitta. The simply one word ultimate bodhicitta is emptiness. Emptiness, nature of interdependence. The emptiness, nature of the wisdom, say another book. So focus there with your full moon and Vajra at the heart, your awareness with the Vajra, your concentration with the full moon and Vajra. And with the nature state, the mind, breathing, and the heart. Lama Jano, Lama Jano, Tinjin Zaga, Lama Pade Lama Gursam waso da woga jayan je so jin do we de bon dam be lam don do jin ngam da je we je so ga den da da ba da me do jin chang. Mom bon de on ba ga jen do jin chang jin bon jin jin no so wan de so tu ji se je sin je la che no do na ni da da zo shi. Ten ye la da de wa zo je na mo na se nam da ge la ma lo na se ji jin so che ba mo nam so yong do do so wan de o wa dong do so sin je la. Je je no wa so ge je ma sum je me je we to chin be yi shin ga dan de za we dan ni ga den je do wa jim ze ren bo chi. Da sim ni je nga ne so wan de chun ni je nga de sin je lo sam do ne chi me nam dan de. Long de chu go do bra sin je lo nam wa de nian be sim je tam je lo chu so do bra sin je lab do so chu lam don do bra sin je lab do so. Lam chu ba se bra sin je lab do so tu na yi shi so cha bra sin je lab do so. Wa sa sa ja chen bo chu ge ngo do to bra sin je lab do so. Cha wa gun do yang do la ma dan da mi chu je bo la long ju chen sa da lam je yin de rab zo ne. Dorje change kombanyo to sho tanjun de ne shindu ne braka chiwo ten tabra chobal ka den de la pemba madu na sende yanda joba ka lanjo ka je jam madan chawa lo chunji den je sabya jam zumbrada chuje ja sung je mola ka lo de shindu ka mendo som yere madu chiwra nge je taba nyor do niman ne be to so yin do mata par rong nge le nyom le pong la tsin de ta po me shen pa la tsin de ma ta tsin ge tin dan da do we chin che ka la da dang song do we tsin na nam pe lon da de de sa pa che we cha nyer chuan do tu che na de ja pon do chon na long chon za de ni shi che men dang che we tin de kang da kang da ye le ne tre ma shin do ji son dang ri dong kor we dung ne de sam na ni long ta po dang 장조 심조 remboche maje bonam chijruchi chiba nyamba mebaya konde kondo mbewre sho sanjo simjo remboche maje bonam chijruchi chiba nyamba mebaya konde kondo mbewre sho sanjo simjo remboche maje bonam chijruchi chiba nyamba mebaya konde kondo mbewre sho. Okay, now good evening, everyone. In a Zoom and then here, everyone. So, like to welcome everyone. Like to thank you for again meeting together. This is good opportunity, you know. So now, let me say for a few words first. This, which we did meditation about the loving kindness, compassion, bodhicitta, which is you always hear about it. Of course, many of you heard about the thousands, hundreds times, you know, and including myself, and also, and including myself sometimes, a lot of talks about it, loving kind compassion, very much, but which is wonderful, which is nothing wrong. the challenge part is the practice part. when I laughing myself, and I really don't know how much I practice myself, but definitely sure I'm how to say the as much I can, so practicing loving kind compassion. There's no doubt myself, you know, really I have no doubt about it, but sometimes not enough practice, you know, so which is remind ourselves and remind myself, you know, which is so important for us. The essence of the Buddha Dharma teaching, going back to is the loving kind, compassion, and bodhicitta. It's these three, you know. As long as loving kind practice very well done, then there is no doubt compassion is, you know, it will appears, it will come, it's natural. There is no doubt. So loving kind practice is not so, the practical point of view is not so easy. You know, there's many levels to do, but it is very important as a spiritual practitioner and as a non-spiritual practitioners, whoever do not believer or non-believer, everybody can do it. Practice, you know, loving kind, compassion is very, very meaningful, very, very useful, very, very practical, you know. It benefit for other living beings, no doubt. It benefit ourselves, no doubt it, you know. Also therefore, loving kind. And the bodhicitta is pretty much like not so much to do with uh, non-believers actually. The bodhicitta is to do with particularly Vajrayana people, more kind of Mahayana people believes bodhicitta strongly. So bodhicitta practice is very, very important. In the text says, you know, or as long as compassion practice is well done, loving kind practice is well done, if somebody truly realizing compassion, the bodhicitta is there. There's no doubt. There's no such thing as to find separate from bodhicitta, with separate from the loving kind compassion. I don't think so. It is says in the teachings too, you know, in our Lord Jiti, founder of Digunkaji lineage, in the says too. That's very, very clear. I remember that, you know. So then as I taught today, we did a meditation about the bodhicitta, which is called the relative bodhicitta and ultimate bodhicitta. We did meditation about the full moon, which represents relative bodhicitta, and the vajra, the crystal, the 5-point vajra represents the ultimate bodhicitta, which is I received many teachings, many as well, you know, it says there, and particularly last many years, His Holiness Dalai Lama was a very recommend for people. Many of you heard about it, you know. I was there for myself many times in the last few years, his teachings. Today he's 88 years old. He always emphasizing all the teachings, but particularly bodhicitta, he's very so challenging himself practicing and recommending to the students, the followers as well. So I myself, as I already said, doing practice as possible, you know, every day as possible, try to receiving bodhicitta vows again and again every day, you know, as possible. But sometimes due to my ignorance, due to lazy, I just forget, you know, the truth part is really. Most of the time I visualize in Dalai Lama and then receive that again every day. So he mentioned that way. Bodhicitta vows you can take every time in front of the statue and stupa, or we visualizing like as a Dalai Lama visualizing and receiving from him again every day. I think that makes very, very different. I also, it really benefits me, much more benefit, you know. So that's why I taught you today that way of bodhicitta, loving kind practice, the different, through visualization, you know, and without the visualization, cultivating loving kind compassion thought, bodhicitta thought, that is also wonderful to do. Doesn't have to be kind of necessarily the visualization part, but it is sometimes very, very helpful, uh, very, very good, skillful method, which is mentioned, recommended by His Holiness Dalai Lama, and not just him, is in the text actually, it's in the Vajrayana text, it's mentioned there. So therefore, I sharing with you. I was very happy, so we can, as a good good gift for the birthday. He's 88 years, so he said he doesn't want to be any birthday. Birthday is the best, is the practice, the practice of whatever he mentioned, and we can practice that and be very, very best gift and best as a student, of course, the great teachers are there, doesn't want anything at all. That's very clear. I remember many life story reading, especially reading Milarepa's life story. No, Milarepa doesn't want anything at all. Milarepa met all kind of people offering so many things. He never ever takes at all. Only takes food, which is he has to survive. That's it. Sometimes he doesn't take food. He says, I have today. I don't know, next week or I will let you know then. Amazing, It's for me, it's very inspired me, very inspired, very, how to say, touching as a practitioner myself, But we cannot, we can, but possible, but we cannot 100%. But at least we can practice that way, like as much, how to say, practice of satisfaction. That is a very important, I noticed becoming more age going up and up. Satisfaction is so important. As a satisfaction is not easy to practice actually. Of course, as a practitioner, as a non-practitioner, it's any ordinary people, the satisfaction is so important, Whatever we have, just appreciate and grateful and thankful. That's enough, Now become a kind of more and more and more. That's okay, but doesn't really get anywhere, And it's which is sometimes I personally I look as that way. It's a huge karma actually, strong karma there actually. It's not easy to take somebody's things actually, It's not easy. No, it's not at all. It's a huge karma, heavy karma in the shoulder. Not easy, I personally like to go when I die, very light in the shoulder. Nothing is in my shoulder anymore. Happily to go, transforming all the journey into the next life. I don't want to carry anything. So that's why I don't want. The whole reason is so much, I just needed to survive. That's all. For my medicine, for my food, for my clothing, for just enough. So that's we cannot do like a Milarepa did, but at least we can learn some lesson, and behind there some important messages there, So that's why I like to share as a wonderful opportunity today. I myself happy to say those things because I'm trying to be confidently. I try practice too, so that's why I'm going to say. If I don't practice, I won't say anymore. So that's why I like to say, so to remind our sangha, wonderful sangha people, all good old friend, last 20 years, So maybe benefit that way ourselves, myself too. As long as I'm practice of satisfaction, I'm very happy, even though anything, Or so otherwise we are kind of mind is so busy, running everywhere, chasing after, want this, want that, want this, want to do this. And it happens not just to ordinary people, it happens to a lot of great practitioners too. Sometimes we do not realize, like we call ourselves as a practitioner, myself, like as a teacher. Lot of, yeah, the thought is there, it's not doubted, but depends on how we control it, how do we kind of dissolve it, Thought is no doubt. I do not mean I have want to this, that, sure, that a lot of times. But immediately I become a better now says, okay, Lama Gursam, you have it. You don't need it. It's going to be heavy karma. if you, I mean, I'll say, if you make your own things, then that's okay. You work hard, you did your own. India we call the Indian language, we call the pasina. Pasina means, coming through the water coming from your head or face, all the hard work you've done, and you deserve it. Which is, I do not hard working, I do not deserve those things at all. No, at all. It's very heavy karma. I try to each time practice as possible, so prayer to purification as possible. So what I'm trying to say is satisfaction, what is learning, and the bodhicitta. So that's what we are talking about. Dalai Lama's message, okay? And the same times Milarepa's message is there. So these two. Now today topic is about the actual topic was the not just me. I like to say a few words, and then please everybody can open your ideas, how you want to, and how you feel it. The topic is about there is a lot of Dharma, spiritual teachings, and including spiritual, a lot of practice in the spiritual. The whole question is about today's topic is about are these really benefit me? Are these I have to practice or not? That's a big question. Are these really, how to say, related with my reality life? What I'm talking about? Talking about how do we build, how do we bring into the reality life, rather than just saying wonderful things in the space. No, that doesn't really work. It does not mean there's no wonderful things to learn. Yes, for me personally, all the things in the Buddha Dharma teaching, including whatever traditional or Vajrayana traditional, Tibetan Buddhist traditional, Theravadan traditional, whatever, is wonderful to learn. Nothing wrong with that at all. The point is, the point is not about only the learning part. Point is about are they really benefiting me, my life, how I work in my everyday, how I'm dealing with my everyday in life, how I'm dealing within my past things, how I'm going to be in the future. That's a big question, But I would say every teachings of the Buddha Dharma is wonderful, always benefits. There is no doubt, like a big picture, like a big perspective, the huge, every angle you look that way, everything is wonderful. There's nothing wrong, But that does not mean it is working for me. It is suitable for me. So that's a different, right? So as an academically point of view, we have to learn everything as possible. There is no doubt. There's nothing wrong with anything, you know. And the practice level is different. We have to think about it, you know, which one is really working for me, which one is really helping me. So that is, I really see we needed to focus the practice. Like for example, for person generally human beings, like for example, for like generally as a human being, everything's like it goes smoothly in our life. There's nothing problems, you know, no problem in the families, no problem in our own self, no problem in the relation. Everything goes well. So now what? the, which practices can be really, really useful? You know, every practice is useful, but during those time for me is mostly I try to practice myself as a mind training. You know, mind training means I try to train my mind always kind of relax, peace, calm, happy as possible. Now the question is about the how to practice when we have a different challenges in our life. Whether we are dealing with the past, whether we are dealing with in the present times, what kind of Buddha Dharma can offer it? You know, what kind we can really taking into the path to really practice this, you know. I think that is really depends on what kind of we are dealing with it. You know, what kind of situations we are dealing with that. So therefore, I always see as we have to be, when we have a kind of all the different knowledges, so then we can really understanding, okay, this practice is like say, like, okay, this meditation is really, really helping me, you know. So we can focus there and practice that. Like for example, for people are like a practice of mantra, which is wonderful, nothing wrong with that, you know. And the certain things they help the mantra and really help them to calm and happy and peace, bring some kind of calmness. The practice of different mantra, different visualization as a Vajrayana point of view is very, very wonderful. There's nothing wrong. So within in the mantra it has also different types of mantras with it, you know, as we know. And then some people really doesn't work that kind of things. Some people needed a kind of practice of the mind training, like how to train our mind, you know, like including like how to be cultivating positive thoughts, including loving kind, compassions, and so on. So training mind, you know, training mind is more calm and so on. That could be very, very benefit that way, you know, focus more that way, you know. And some people maybe not. That's too much. So what they have to do is they can find another practices like a karma abiding. Doesn't have to think about it. Just be calm, be relaxed, be breathe. You know, I'm talking about the simple karma abiding. There's many forms of karma abiding there, many, many things there. You know, so they will that way take one, you know, particular things and then practice that, you know. Every teacher can say karma abiding is very wonderful. Then next teacher will say, oh, inside meditation is the best one. Then next teacher will say, the Mahamudra is the best one. The next teacher will say, Zopa Chempo is the best one. So nice teacher will say, empowerment is the best one. So now students are confused. What I'm trying to say is, I think individual we have to make a choice. You know, we can discuss with it, our the teachers are possible, but that doesn't sometimes wonderful, sometimes doesn't work that way. So therefore, I think it's the practice point of view. Take one practice and really focus. My idea is really whatever it is, whatever individual student like to be, uh, you know. But at the same times, I will say, focus one and practice one. Really experience it until really well done, you know, well experienced until that. Then move into the next practices, the practice point of view I'm talking about here. So then it's much more understanding better. Sometimes what we do is practice here, there, not really understand. Then practice here, there, we lost sometimes, you know. So therefore, what I mean is one practice very according to individual to look at, how which one you can do it easily, or easily do more benefit way, easily. So then practice that one and then really focus there and then practice that experience until very well done. Then moving into the other practice, then not so much difficulty. The realization is much easier actually, you know. Otherwise, we kind of little bit challenge for that. So therefore, what I'm trying to say is, um, so there is a Buddha Dharma can offer a lot of things. There's no doubt. Every levels, every practice is useful, or it's up to individual, the practitioners, or for like example, for now we are for dealing with like for uh, every practice is wonderful. There's nothing wrong. But when I remember when I was dealing with when my father died, when I dealing with my emotion, that the sorrow of the death, the pain, the separation, uh, the you know the losing your own loved one, your own that's the one. Then now what? That's a big question for me at the time. I was very lucky. I have some knowledge about it. You know, that's all practice is wonderful done, no doubt, benefiting there. But such things I learned is at that time. I already learned at many time actually the teachings of the Pardo, which is we call in the Buddha Dharma. Pardo means it talks about the reality life. When the living life, and many of you know what I'm talking about. I try to put in the simple way. What is the living life means? What is the experience of the death? The experience of the person, him or her who died, to understanding their better ways, or people like us, like we living still life, the person who dies. So how we deal with those things, how we do it, in order to benefit the person who passed away, in order to benefit the same times person living us have no more sorrow, no less sorrow as possible. So continue practices. So there's what I'm trying to say is there's a lot of different practices. So what I'm trying to say is sometimes when we what to do is one practice time we have to learn all the thing as possible, So then there is a lot of opportunities there. Sometimes what we do is only one practice, they just stuck there, and then less of ignore, Then the one practice doesn't work, then we can kind of confuse ourselves. Things about the Buddha Dharma, no, it's nothing to do with Buddha Dharma. It's a lack of knowledge, lack of wisdom, you know. So not there. So therefore, I would say there's a, for my own personal practicing, continue, you know, one practice focus, whatever you do individually, you know, a very simple way, you know, and then in other practice too, when there is a time to can practice other practice, this does not mean that doesn't has to do. But to give a one practice is more focused, you know, really understanding, the understanding deeper. Also, like for example, for mantra as possession, but Tibetan traditionally Buddha Dharma hundred how to say 100,000 times the mantra recitation, which is the at least 100,000 supposed to do, you know, which is a very good idea actually. But that does not mean the mantra counting part, but there is a certain energies there. Once we done that, then it receives a certain energy there, you know, certain satisfaction, certain confidence rises there. So therefore that mantras are supposed to do that, you know. So therefore, like doing mantras on any practices. So that is my thought, you know, every uh, uh, but the then point is here, for another point for I like to make is when we are uh, everything's going well in our life, you know, or whatever, or everything's going well, then the danger part in the spiritual practice, sometimes we forget Dharma. As if we forget Dharma many times, you know. We don't forget the Dharma practice, we forget the study, we forget going to the group together meditation, personally forget the meditation. I think it happens to everybody, it happens to myself too, you know. But that is kind of very, very, sometimes we have to be kind of beware about it, you know, continuity. But my thought is no matter what, doesn't matter. Whatever life is going very well, but continue practice, that's whatever the Kama abiding practitioner or the inside vipassana meditator or Vajrayana practitioners or all like myself, Vajrayana practitioner. I do a lot of Dharma practitioner, Dharma protectors. I have to do it. It's nothing about the only certain things, you know. They continue maintaining that, then it's become a much more the quality is when we maintain, then easy to right away to dealing with that the antidote, you know, easy to come antidote. Sometimes we forget that, you know, then it's quite a bit challenge. You know, sometimes like for meditation, the great meditators long can continue, you know. Continuous is so important, you know, really, rather than every day. Like I talk to my new friends, Sangha always, just don't worry about it. Continue 10-15 minutes every day. Meditate, you know. Doesn't matter whether it's a good meditation, bad meditation, doesn't really matter. Continue every day when I'm going, whatever time, morning, evening, whatever time, you know. But do not forget that part. Make sure, you know. So that way, it really my own experience benefit, you know. So so that's so as what I'm trying to say is all the practices really needed to bring into the in the reality life as possible, you know, to so that whether we are whatever challenges there, you know, whatever challenges there, which is the human nature, which is the nature of phenomena, nature of samsara, you know, there's bound to come. There's no doubt, you know, but maintaining the practices, bring into the everyday life, you know, or sometimes, of course, I remember me usually people says going to centers and meditate, very good, very pleasant and happy and joy. Then they go back home and everything lose their temper. So, which is a challenge for us, reality. So that doesn't, I mean, not good enough. But that's okay. That happens, It happens a lot. I myself too, When I do meditation, very good, and then my younger brother makes me kind of nuts. I get lose my all the emotions there, and then I wake up myself. Okay, what happened today? You know, that's the truth, right? But doesn't we have to continue, right? So that's why I see there's a certain, all meditations are wonderful. Everything is nothing wrong, nothing teaching, So certain things we have to now is really put into the practical as possible, really. I myself is not that old, but I'm getting kind of older, so I feel like I'm becoming more. Everything I try to do, let's do the practical, Just it's not nice to have all the plan and ideas and scientists. Nothing wrong with that. It's good, right? It's nothing wrong. The plan is a plan. The idea is the idea. It's nothing, Nothing get anywhere actually. But I learned myself practice today what I need to, So, so that is my thought. Okay, so of course, of course, you all the practitioners. So, what do you think about it? How do we now bring Dharma into the daily life or daily our how to benefit? That's so important. Now, otherwise, the Dharma has become a kind of, unfortunately, sometimes it's kind of social, you know, social party, which is I see sometimes, which is kind of I disagree with that part, Dharma shouldn't be social anymore, But become Dharma, I saw sometimes Dharma becoming social, a lot of things happening, Used to we go to social party and Friday night or something. Now we kind of Dharma is becoming social, like not really practice enough Dharma, So that's why I think, really try to, so that way benefit our really uh, all our effort, whatever we put is becoming useful, or otherwise we're putting Dharma in the effort so much, so kind of sometimes different question rises, why I have to do in a church, why I have to go in the centers, what the reason? I think it's a very big question. It's important. Why I'm going there? Do I learn today something new? Or today I did meditation, there's something I learned. That's very important for me sometimes. Now I go myself, different, follow the different masters too. I have a wonderful masters there. I have a very confidence for them. I always learn from him something. So that's why I'm very, very happy. Otherwise, I'm not going anymore. If they're not teaching, I'm not going at all. I just say, okay, thank you. See you next time. So let me stop here. So please, somebody can talk. What's your thoughts?
When you were giving us the teaching on bodhicitta,
Mm.
I was thinking about books on bodhicitta that I needed.
Okay.
Like I was missing a book and I needed to go get the book. And then you clarified that I need to focus on the actual presence. Here I have a teacher giving an amazing teacher, and I'm thinking about books I need. It doesn't make any sense.
That's wonderful. I think we have to, yeah, a teacher can give you, but wonderful some, which is sometimes really, really valuable, no doubt. But I always say sometimes, not always relying on the teachers. The book is the, I respect everything, but I really respect the book highly much. Book is the real good teacher. Let me say a few words about that. Okay? How the book is, the text is important. The wisdom is always there in a book, right? When we learn from the book, so we learn so many things there. That does not mean some book, when we read some book we do not understand. It needed teachers, so many things. But the book is a really good friend, the best friend. That's I will add here to letting you know, make sure, but always read it. Book never ever is going to get upset. If you say teacher something wrong, I may get upset. I may say something wrong. Book is always wonderful. The wonderful wisdom's there. But there are certain books are not, what I'm trying to say is the book is not enough, what I'm trying to say. Book alone doesn't lead us anywhere. It gives you certain informations, the wisdoms, wonderful things, But the book alone, that's not true. I myself aware about that. Certain book I read, I do not understand, even though I read Tibetan, including myself. I'm supposed to know Tibetan better than, I qualified a master degree in Tibetan language. I thought, what's wrong with me? No, it's not about that. There's nothing wrong with me. It's all about the teaching, how it shows the teaching itself is how profound it is, which is a certain word cannot enough, When you, like I today talk about the bodhicitta, like I myself was really, really appreciate when I met Dalai Lama many times. Of course, I heard many times, right? Many times I heard. Last few years, it's really clicked me somewhere. I thought, oh yeah, this is now. So that doesn't mean at that moment is only, no, it has been many kindness of my teachers, including my books, study. This all goes the credit there too. It's not like only one person credit. No, that's not right. No, that doesn't work, So that's why the remained the person who remind ourselves, book is wonderful, really. Book is always have to keep in the reading as you do, as myself. It's so precious, But I could not write a book anymore, so I don't write. So that's my another issues myself. Many friends told me, so why not write books? I said, I'm sorry, I don't have time, and I have this one thing I say, I don't have time. Second thing I say, I have nothing new to share, nothing to new other than already Buddha taught there, and the great master taught. I have nothing to share. I can take from here, take from there. No, I don't want to do that either. I have nothing to do with it, So therefore, remind ourselves, the book is the greatest teacher, really. I remember certain Indian first Prime Minister, Indian Prime Minister is Jawaharlal Nehru. I heard about it. He loves the book. Even he's the Prime Minister, he carry book with him anywhere. One kind of book like that, he always carry with him. That says if books are not with him, he's not happy. See how that shows how love with the books, That's why the wonderful that I appreciate myself, which is I learned from the book and more taught by the teachers, all things, including the supports and so on, when people give me the book, I so happy with that actually. And I give some book in one of my own couple of teacher. So they're so happy, and couple are not happy, not so understand. So there's certain things there. I give one teacher who has passed away. He's Lamchin Jaburum, New Jersey. Many of you heard about it. One time I give him one book which I found in India. I usually go by and I thought about it's talking about some kind of really inside meditation and Mahamudra stars, really things. I bought one him and offered him. He says, "Hey, look, it's so. So where did you found this one? I say I just sometimes look in the bookstore and I found it." He was so happy. It's almost very happy. I offered something thousands dollars, more than that. So I like to just remember myself too. And many teachers taught me that too. I remember. Says, no, book is the best friend and best, how to say, book is the best friend. Book is the never let you down. Always there. You read it, you observe it, study it. And ordinary friends, it's not like that, right? But the good time is good. The bad time, then they'll kick you out. It's not like book never ever. No. Book is so important. But at the same times, certain books are needed. Get directly teaching from the teacher, those who are well qualified study. So then other books are like books of like our lamrims like that. And ordinary people can read English, but they won't understand that. Like Joel Ornament, like Words of Perfect, my teachers, and the books about the like Milareva's songs. A certain understanding, but the certain things are not. No, there's behind the meaning they are wonderful, which is the come from the teacher to the teacher to the teacher, which is I realized myself last time I studied with some master the Milarepa songs, So I read it, I try to understand. Now he explains the songs of Milarepa, each words and the words and what. Oh, no, how many the hidden the meanings are there. So much. So that's what we have. Of course, respect those great masters, study. Thank you.
Does anybody on Zoom have a comment that you'd like to make about Lama Gursam's question about how practice has, what's the practical application in your life?
Right.
Anybody here? Somebody like to make a comment?
You have to unmute.
Yes, if somebody's trying to speak, you have to unmute. Raise your hand. Pete? Yes, thank you.
Yeah. Lama Gursam, I've really found improvement in my life by giving up a lot of distractions. And in my I only have to work part-time. So in my free time, I can practice and study. And I like to balance them both. Practice periods and then rest period, then study, read a book or watch a talk, and then rest, back and forth like that. It's a very satisfying way of life. And I'm more fulfilled than when I used to be more distracted by entertainments and so forth.
Yeah, I have problems, same thing as you. But like maybe share some few words. Getting better, getting better, less distractions. There's a now, of course, now is we can excuse our, internets and the Facebooks and the Instagrams and whatever we call them, it's quite a bit sometimes really uh, so many informations there, so many want to see it, so on. But I think so. Discipline, I would say, I'm not. The discipline is quite a bit of challenge, I myself too, but I'm not too bad, but still challenge discipline part, which is I don't feel bad. Actually, I think so. Majority we have a challenge that, including myself. So the best thing I found is learning as you are old practitioner. You've been old practitioner. I think the best antidote is learning about thinking about the more impermanence nature. Okay. Or if soon as like when we let me talk about the direct and practical way type. Soon as we want to something, this oh no, this is not. This is a very precious time. I just have to finish my practice. Let me do my practice, or let me do my study, or let me rest it's time for rest, or let me get up early morning. It's not a time for sleeping. It's enough. So that helps me myself. I try to do, but I'm not a success. Impermanence of the time, then it really, really supports me. So of course, I'm pretty sure you do meditation impermanence. I try to impermanence and sometimes the precious life, the precious time. These two goes together. That really helps me myself. I'm not saying I'm a success, okay? Make sure. But I try to find out the antidote when that things. Antidote is the most impermanence, understanding the precious time, that today is the precious time. I should not waste it. Do best I can, and tomorrow more better. So impermanence in the time and so on. I think that helps me a lot. So at the same time, I know many of you remember when I started the prayer, I'm starting our talk, I did the prayer for that too. Precious life and impermanence, those prayer I recite all the time. So it's not about that I am kind of very realizing being and pretending like that. No, I just reminding myself the precious time, So that way, I think so. This is the good opportunity, so I can think that way. Of course, I don't have to teach you the empowerment. You know that. What we need is just practice. That's all I can say.
If no one else has a question, I have another question, Lama Gursam.
Sure, I think so.
Just in general, I have a pretty basic understanding of it, but I wonder sometimes about the Mahasiddhas
Right.
and how they lived such a wild way, and yet they I've heard it said that their discipline was more pure than a monk's because of their bodhicitta and their wisdom and compassion and so forth.
Yeah, my limited knowledge about the Mahasiddha, but I read lots of Mahasiddha's story, including, this our Naropas as well, and then this 80 Mahasiddhas. I read some commentary about written by my own professor text. When I read, then I read more like last many years and try to reading more the Milarepa's songs. They're one of the really great siddhas, right? So, for my understanding is when they are truly realizing their true nature of the mind, then I think for them it really doesn't matter. Doesn't doesn't necessary to have anything, you know. They can really, really focus day or night, eating, walking, sleeping, everything, you know. It's their practice, you know. I think most of this, I think inner realization, you know. And our wonderful monks, nuns in the monastery, they try our realizations in the renunciation and so forth. Pretty sure they are doing their best, but sometimes it's not so easy, you know. There is the songs of Milarepa has a couple different things there actually. So 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 I remember one time the last few weeks ago, we were reading about the Milarepa songs. One of the Milarepa students, which is the now I forgot the name of the student. There's one student. Oh, yes. I forgot. What is his name? I forgot. But he was very, the beginning, his student, he was very rich, the student was. So he Milarepa offering everything, including everything, whatever he belongs, you know, including his homeland, including he also belongs, there is a lot of, he has also monastery there in his village, which is he owns. So Milarepa never ever accepted. So what that is means simply for me is when Milarepa totally really renounced everything. You know, Milarepa said to him, I appreciate, grateful you offering me. Milarepa says, I don't have time for that. Time for that, take care of it. You know? So that shows how the precious opportunity time there's, you know, the impermanence and so on. So the best thing, as you said, pointed out, is really, really reading. I will suggest to read. Of course, you already read the Milarepa songs. I will suggest really read again. You know, it doesn't. My own many teachers recommend too. I'm just sharing as with here too. So please read the Milarepa songs. There's books available. You know, nowadays, very, very. Grateful, those who are translators, those who translated, those who read, wrote about the books, you know, it's available. So it's not like many 30, 40 years back. Now it's everything is pretty much available. So.
Well, thank you. Is there somebody else? We're running out of time. We have a little bit of time left, but we want to give everybody a chance to speak and about their practice, how their practice has helped them. Is there anybody on the Zoom that would like to speak, or somebody here?
Well, I would just like to say, I happen to just be reading that story in Milarepa about the rich young man who offered everything to Milarepa, and his name was Repa Shiva.
That's right. Perfect. Repa Shiva. Thank you.
Just happened to be reading that story in Milarepa.
Yes, Repa Shiva.
Well, if nobody else has something to say, you know me, I can always say something about that.
Yes.
So I'll just.
Yes.
So for me, you know, practice has been invaluable, and over the years, my practice has changed many times as my needs have changed. And so, you know, one analogy or metaphor that I can use, it's like building a house. and you build the foundation, and you need a particular practice for the foundation building. Then you need to lay the floor of the first floor, and you do that, and then you build the walls, and you put in the windows and the doors and so on. And there's different practices for each one of those different parts of the first floor. And then you put a ceiling on the first floor, and then maybe you begin to put some ornaments on the walls, and some furniture in the room and so on. And all these are different parts of your different practices that you do. And then you come to the time when you say, okay, I want to build a second floor now. So you've already built the ceiling of the first floor, and then you start working on the floor for the second floor, and you build the walls and so on. And there are practices for that. So my point is that along the way, there are specific practices for specific things that we need to accomplish, and we need to be able to identify those things to ourselves. We need to recognize what our goals are and make the choices. Like Lama said, we need to make the choices to commit ourselves to do those things. And the more that we do that, the more confidence that we develop, as Lama also said. And we find that we can add more ornaments for each element, for each floor. We can add more things as the house can get taller and taller and so on, adding more and more floors. And we can go back and we can add some more things to the prior floors too. So it's a very dynamic practice that we can develop, and we should see it as that. So that for me has been very helpful. And another way of looking at the house is to call it either a palace, or in our Buddhism, we call it the mandala. That what we're building is our mandala. And so it has the practices, it has the different deities that are involved, that are the focus of our practice, and we're bringing us certain awarenesses and realizations through those practices of those particular Buddhas and so on, those enlightened ones. So for me, the practice is invaluable, and it's who I think I've become, and I continue to do that. I think it is to complete myself as a human being. So that's what we offer to all other to the other people who join us in our sessions like this, our group sessions like this, the opportunity to be able to find this and do this for themselves. Does anybody else have a comment?
Let me make one more comment
Sure.
about bodhicitta. It always impressed me over the years how much emphasis many teachers made on the subject of bodhicitta. For example, Drupal Tinley Ningpo rarely started any talk without talking at least 10 or 15 minutes about the importance of bodhicitta. It was always the beginning of all his talks whenever I listened to him. And the other thing is, what I keep reading over and over again is that so many teachers saying the most basic teachings are the most profound teachings. And of the most basic teachings, I would have to say the first is renunciation, which is detaching yourself from your normal worldly concerns, and bodhicitta, which is developing the motivation to practice. And with that motivation to practice, everything is easy and everything goes well. But without bodhicitta, practice is just very difficult because we're fighting against ourselves. We're practicing with an egotistic motivation for a non-egotistical goal. So the more we succeed, what happens without bodhicitta is we're just strengthening our egotism. So it's kind of difficult get anywhere with that kind of practice. So that is all I would want to have to say about bodhicitta.
Thank you, Bernie.
Okay. Oh yes, of course. That let me add a few words about the bodhicitta. So, oh yeah. Of course, in order to, the question is where we first have to learn really, bodhicitta is very important academically, very as much possible. Or in order to learn academically bodhicitta, of course, many of you already read Jewel Ornament Liberations. The beginning text is there, wonderful text. And the bodhicitta is the real text in the words of perfect my teachers. That's the bodhicitta talks about. Very, very Zapata Rinpoche, very practically there talks about it, very, very clear, And Gambopa talks, Jewel Ornament Liberations, very, very clear. And as far as my knowledge, okay, there must be other books are pretty much all possible. There's a lot of other books possible. Now the bodhicitta books is more, bodhicitta book is the way of bodhisattva, which is called the way of bodhisattva life, which is written by great master Shanti Deva, Indian great master, which is he wrote the way of bodhisattva life, the best book and the best practical. I think I will, of course, the practice is very important, but at the same time, remind ourselves is really study about it first, really. Also, there's many different types of to learn, wonderful things to learn, very, very, When the practice point of view is we have to learn as early short form I did the presentation in the bodhicitta meditation. I think that's for me that is good enough. No, for me it's good enough. But there must be some other teacher can teach you more how to do the better way, the easy way. That's possible, But for me, it's just a very simple word put into the simple few words they are practice. It's very. At the same time, I like to say, adding not just to study. Study very important. There's no doubt, as Ali said. But at the same time, we have to learn how to practice. We individually we have to learn how to practice. As a teacher and as a whoever they have to teach the student too how to do it. Many times we lack of that. I notice many times. Many times we talk a lot. We do not really talk about how to do it. How the precaution is about. We talk a lot about loving kindness. Then we don't know how to do it. That we need it. Whether it is a spiritual way to meditation, whether it is a meditation like for the meditation posture way of loving kindness practice, or whether it is actions way of loving kindness practice in actions, every day our life. At the same time, how to be practiced oneself. That's so important. I learned. It looks like a selfish. I'm teaching you more selfish. No, I'm not teaching you selfish, but that is very important to learn how to love oneself, which is so, I found a difficulty myself. I'm the person used to be like always others. Like, I'm not saying I'm a great one. No, I'm not saying that part, okay? Don't get misunderstanding that part. Not saying individual has a habit, I have always like caring others, student how to practice and how to do, how to teach and so on and so like that. So concerning about that things. So I lost sometimes myself. I learned in last many years back. I put my break into myself. So how to practice loving yourself and the bodhicitta living to oneself. our own bodhicitta, how to realize. And that's why I like to make a point. There's also very important question. I did ask many of my wonderful teachers, I always say, how to do it now? Then sometimes important question is quite a bit sometimes stuck with there, and the teacher is very well practitioner, well realized, and no doubt immediately says, oh, Lama Gursam, no, you have to do this way. If you think this way, you have to think this way. No? So there is the fifth instruction. Everything is, I'm not saying every else is not value. That is really gold. Real gold offering there. So we have to catch that part, and not just to understand, to bring it into the practice, Like for example, for me, long time, Gachi Rinpoche said a long time ago, I have nothing to say you anything, nothing to offer you anything. One thing Gachi Rinpoche said, I offer you one, meditate. Always as possible. So that's I'm carrying myself as possible, but not easy. That fifth instruction is very much. Even though he said the same thing, I've been last, I think it was 30 years, 30, 40, 35 years, I've been non-stop meditating in the day or night. That was stuck in my mind and heart always. It depends on how I could do or not. I appreciate it always, grateful, the inner offerings, It was in Arizona. No, it was in North New Mexico, long time when I was in a retreat somewhere. Long time, long time, yeah. Back at that time, Gachi Institute is not just started actually, before that, So like things like that,
Can I ask a question about what you just said? And that was, I think I understand you to say that when you were talking about your teacher and that you asked your teacher, is there something that you can tell me that will be helpful, something like that? I forget
Right.
exactly what you said, but it was something to that effect. And then the teacher then gave you an instruction.
Good instruction.
So the point is, do you have to ask the teacher, or will the teacher voluntarily give it to you? Is your asking the teacher the question part of your process of opening yourself up and of learning?
I think that is opens a lot of other questions there, actually. Usually, as far as Tibetan culture, Tibetan great masters, those masters, if you do not ask them, they never let you say any words.
They will not
They
say
won't
anything.
say, no.
Right.
And sometimes when they see, there's another opportunity possible. Sometimes they see that my student is ready and they maybe say something possible. That is another possible, but usually not. They are so humble, the real teachers are. They're so hidden there, really, really. That is sometimes we have to be, ourselves, we has to be, student has to be humble. Students has to be kind of really respect way. And then the teacher becomes, students become, their relation, they knows each other there. Not, I'm talking about the relation of the mind relation, they're understanding each other. Then they think, okay, this is the time to say something. And they say, most of the time not.
Yeah, and that's been my experience too, to say that it's up to the student to really initiate the relationship with the teacher, to ask someone that you have respect for, someone who, at the very least, appears to be a genuine teacher and so on, with proper authority and so on. It's up to the student to ask the teacher to be their teacher and to engage in conversation so that the teacher can get to know the student, but the student also needs to get to know the teacher. And it's a long process. It's not something that happens one or two, three times, three meetings or anything like that. It's a process that can take years, like any friendship, any relationship. But it's important to open yourself up to that. If we hold ourselves back because we're afraid that somebody's going to say something that we don't like, you know, that puts up a wall between you and your real self of really learning about yourself. You're acting out of fear by not engaging with another person, in particular your teacher. So that's one of the fundamental things I think that we need to be able to overcome as students, is to open ourselves up to the student-teacher relationship and to initiate that ourselves.
Yeah, please.
Well, I would like to comment that my experience over the years has been one of the student listening to the teacher and taking to heart the advice during teachings, and also observing the behavior and what the teacher is trying to tell you. Because I think there's times where the teacher is giving the advice you need, but it's up to the student to listen and then practice or evaluate. What did he say? What did he mean? And sometimes that's a process where it's not something that happens in 2 weeks after you see your teacher, but rather after you think, process, and develop what the teacher said. So I don't think many times I've had to ask questions. It seems more like the answers are given if you take those. Yeah, I just think there's times where the teacher is giving that to you, that the teacher at times knows what the student needs, and even if it's not specific, like I think maybe what Lance was talking about is something specific, like how big is the seed syllable? But sometimes just hearing about the seed syllable will carry you on to develop your meditation. So that's what I have to say.
Thank you. Yeah.
Karina, please.
Yes, I have a question also. Like, one second, please. If practice every day, one practice, yes. After how long, like 1 month, months or years, this is experience you feel from this is practice. You become feel it's like this is experience.
So I think you're saying that if you're practicing a particular practice for a period of time, how do you know when you move to another practice?
Yes.
Or
No,
when,
like you feel this experience, like in how you know.
how do you know that you had some kind of an experience or some kind of a realization? Is that correct?
Yes.
Is that, yes.
Mm. Mm. Oh. I think it really depends on the different types of practices too. Certain practices you need it long time continuity practice long enough. For example, for like a for example, for very simple, the vipassana meditation,
Mm-hmm.
okay, inside meditation, it needed really long time continue until the almost every practices
Mm-hmm.
vipassana meditation retire. For karma abiding meditation needed long, but it's not that much. There is a certain realization there. For example, for karma abiding meditation, when
Mm-hmm.
you realizing, you feel you are so calm, the body, you so calm your mind as well, to truly kind of you feel it, you feel experience it without any nobody can disturb you, it just depends, nothing depends anything. That much you practice done, then you move into the vipassana
Mm-hmm.
meditation within, like the many practices like that. And the Vajrayana practices like that, certain practices, or like a
Mm-hmm.
mantra, at least you let the mantra do like the simple mantra, Buddha compassion, the Tara, at least finish, if you like to practice like at least 100,000, meditation, then you move to the next mantra practices like that.
Thousands, it's how many months or years?
Well, it depends on the practitioner, how long. If you continue every day, 1 month, rather, it will come. Not
Ah, yeah, yeah,
bad.
yeah. And one like big question also about Vipassana. Today practice Vipassana for 10 days, but it's everywhere Goyenka. Yes, it's good, like good to practice. This is Vipassana. We'll go there for 10 days. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a wonderful 10-day Vipassana meditation, it's nothing wrong, but the 10
Yeah.
days not enough, it's a
Mm-hmm.
wonderful 10 days, the Vipassana meditation supposed to be every day, like I always recommend people meditation like a 10-15 minutes every day, either you do
Mm-hmm.
morning, so then you'll build it, someday.
uh, a Vipassana practice in the morning, how is it like? What is it practice? Like I know Vipassana when 10 days you don't talk. Yes, you're listening there. Like what talk Goyenka. Yes, but I don't know what's the practice for 15 minutes in the morning Vipassana.
I Well, if people these days, the people go Vipassana 10-day retreat. I appreciate and grateful those people who does,
Mm-hmm.
And I personally have a different feelings, the different thoughts about that,
Mm-hmm.
And the person, anybody can go there. There's nothing wrong. But at the same time, we have to be a little bit mindful. If you are never been meditation,
Mm-hmm.
never ever, and your situation, your individual situation is something different, and going right away in the meditation, I'm not sure that it will be really benefit or not. What I'm saying is, I'm never saying, not saying is don't go, but I say go, but be mindful how much you can do at the 10 day.
Yeah.
Sometimes never done in a 10 days, immediately so long discipline 10 day, and after 10, you get kind of challenges there.
Yeah, I have a one-time experience. It's been 3 or 4 years ago, and I want to go in this year again. Like now, I'm looking for registration. I think it's nice to have like this experience for 10 days. What about a long retreat? What monk or yogin going for long retreat? What does retreats mean? Like what he's going for deep meditation for 1 month?
I personally really say it. I give some my thoughts with the people, which I will say always every day, like for like every
Mhm.
day meditate. If the beginner meditator, I would say 15 minutes every day. If the person is already meditator, I would say 1 hour every day meditate, every day, non-stop. I think that is much better than going for years and months and somewhere. If you have opportunity going for 1 month in a year, go somewhere, you're welcome. You can go, there's no problem. But sometimes we have a challenge. Myself, I say, oh, I like to go retreat. Then we forgot a whole this month. I'd like to go on meditation. I like to go retreat somewhere. I like to go retreat there. I want to go there. But reality is home. In the home, you do every day 10, 15 minutes non-stop, 1 hour as your practitioner. Depends on the practitioner. The old practitioner already knows how to. 1 hour every discipline. It's much better. I've been myself in a retreat. That's why I'm trying to sharing with you. I'm not saying about that you shouldn't go. Once you build yourself 1 hour meditation in your home, your sweet home, and then one day you go in a 1 month retreat, very wonderful. The
Mhm.
experience is totally different, you know. So what I'm trying to say is that's what I'm trying to do. I could not do right now long retreat, the truth part. I have a lot of things to take care. I have to take care 83 years of my mom. I have to take care of that. I cannot go long retreat. But my every morning and evening, I do myself, the proud to say, and I do with the mom and every morning when she does the prayers, and I just sit myself with the mom. I just sit and meditate. Like your what are your friends doing like meditation? It's nice to do with the two person there. Wonderful opportunity.
Mhm.
You
Yes,
got
and
you got my point.
what? Excuse me.
Did you got my point? What I'm trying to say?
Yes, yes,
Okay.
sure.
Yeah. Make sure I
Like
do.
if I'm do Vajrasattva practice every day and then do their meditation for 10 minutes, it's not enough. You need to do 15 minutes, yes. And how many round mala? Good for day. How many? How many?
Say that again. So, you
How
did,
many mala round Vajrasattva mantra? Good to do every day.
she's doing Vajrasattva practice every day. And she's asking how many mallow rounds. She does one mallow round of the 100 syllable mantra, which is great. Should she do more? Should she go to another practice? What would you say about that, Lama?
If you asking me that question, I would say, the 100 syllable mantra, one mala is enough for you.
Mm-hmm.
But what you have to do is continue it every day non-stop. That
Mm-hmm.
is the big challenge.
Okay. Yeah.
One time you can do thousands mala, one time it's possible. I done myself. My challenge is continuity.
Mm-hmm.
Every day
Yeah.
one mala, continuity. No matter, never ever, how to say, stop it. Every
Mm-hmm.
day, no matter what. So see how you can. Then you don't have to worry about the thousands, the malas. It will naturally, 1,000, 100,000 will come natural.
Yes. Yes.
Well, then let me ask this question. If Karina or someone like Karina is doing the Vajrasattva practice or any practice and doing a mala round of the mantra recitation and then comes to the dissolution meditation, how long do
Mm-hmm.
you spend doing the dissolution meditation?
10 minutes, but then 15. I need to 15 though. I'm 10 now. Yeah, I want to meditate more, sure.
Uh, let me add one more things there, okay? As you're doing that, so it's up to you 10, 15 minutes after the dissolutions, whatever you have time. The more time is important to hear. Practice is not the dissolution part. The more time is important is the during the recitation mantra.
Mm-hmm.
That is important. That time you have to really focus, serious discipline, and 100 times you're doing one mala during that time, really reciting mantra, that makes you your inner, how to say, the processing kind of inner understanding, the practices of the Vajrasattva, that will lead you good realization. The end of the dissolution is wonderful. There's nothing wrong. That's wonderful there. But the more is the during that whatever you want to do mala time, that time really needed focus. I myself, I'm sharing with you as my own experience. I used to do that way. Sometimes I could not focus, really. So that's I kind of my experience. I'm missing that one sometimes. So everybody could do that way. That'd be much better.
Well, let me ask the question like this. If you do one mala round and you've been doing it for a period of time, a month, 2 months, whatever, but then you feel like you want to do another mala round, should you hold back from doing another mala round, or should you say, oh, I'll do 2 mala rounds, and then if you wanted to, then do 3 mala rounds? And in the experience of doing the mantra practice, when you're doing Vajrasattva practice, when you're accumulating 100,000 recitations, in those cases, then you would want to do 3 or 4 or even 5 mala rounds in a session.
Right.
So to get to that point, you'd have to break through from doing the 1 mala round to the increased mala round. And as you say, if you're focusing on the one-pointed mindfulness of the meaning of the mantra, that's where the power is. So
That is very depends on the practitioner. If you are, it really depends on the practitioner. If you are certain practice already stable, your practice is long time enough, so you can one round of mala. Do you want to do the second one or you want to do the third one? That's okay. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, sure.
Person who not established themselves well, and then they're doing something 100 mala, then want to do the 200, then the 300. Sometimes it's going to be obstacle.
Mm-hmm.
How it is obstacle? you excited, okay?
Yeah.
Excited. So you have to let go that part. You know,
Mm-hmm.
exciting practitioners, right? That's not the really that is the not the really diligence.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that is
Yeah,
not.
need to stop meditate. But next time again, start from again.
Yeah. So that's why I'm saying the new practitioner when do 100,000 enough. Just
Mm-hmm.
leave. As if you, even though you want to do, just stop there, do the dedication. It's okay. I'm done today, and tomorrow start again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah.
All the practitioner they can continue 100 times and the 200 and the 300, 400. They won't get any excited. There won't be any problem with them. You know, sometimes it makes challenge. What I'm trying to sharing with you in the practice point of view. That the same thing happened in a meditation. Okay, when the person is never been meditating and few times meditate, then exciting meditate, and then few weeks under very few many hours, that's not healthy actually. Rather than many hours for the 1 hour, 15 minutes, just enough. Then tomorrow again, then build tomorrow. It's 1 week, the next week, and months, years, then that meditation, that experience is going to be last long and more experiences, stable, less obstacle is possible. Otherwise, we have kind of after this, it's like for example, I'm not against the 10-day meditation. Okay, make sure I'm really appreciate. I myself looking about one day I like to go. Those people who teaches like to join, see how they do it. So what I'm trying to say, people who never had experiences, then going right away there, it's kind of makes them kind of very, very excited. So then what they do is after 10-day meditation, after a few weeks, months, never ever meditate. Then give up the meditation. So then it is not healthy. What I'm trying to say is, it's the same thing happens in the Vajrayana meditators too. Myself is too actually, has been that way. I'm talking about that one. I've been there that way. So I'm now my meditation is very much better established, continue and, relax. Even I could not do today's too much, even did a 1 hour, I'm fine with that. I just say, okay, I did something, but I have to continue tomorrow. That's my experience, okay? Don't take that personal. You whatever individual want to do, you do it.
But I'm agree with this is kind of experience like better every day for 15 minutes. They meditate for 1 hour and less maybe like after maybe for you be you think what you're good meditator and your ego make you stop to meditate. Yeah.
I hope so. I'm not trying to stopping the other meditators. No, okay, that's not my messages. Okay, make sure don't get
No,
silly.
no.
My message is to be more mindful and more understanding better. So it's the same thing happened in the study too. It's the same thing happens last week for me. I was studying one. It was one study about the vipassana. One of my own teacher last time he taught in the Nepal. I did not join that time. Then there's a recorded already. I had the recorded. They sent it to me. It's a very almost 9 days, and every day is the almost every day is the 6-7 hours to one tape to to listen and practice. So it happens to me. I was really excited, finishing. I was really tired. Then what happens? I did not end everything. I have to stop there. Then I have to go back to the join again to listening the 7 days. I haven't done in the ninth one, and 7th day I was so tired, So even the study is like that, same thing happened.
Mhm.
Okay, well, if you'll forgive me, I think it's time that we have to
Okay.
draw this to a close.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you,
Oh yeah.
everybody. Karina, thank you. Pete, and Bernie, and
Thank you, everybody.
Mark, thank you for being there. And here we have Ryan is with us, and Paula is with us, and David is with us. So we have a good group tonight. Very good questions, and tomorrow evening we're going to have another session. So if you have more questions or you want to explore more on the questions that we've already discussed, we'll have more time tomorrow.
Thank you, yes.
Is tomorrow Medicine Buddha?
No, tomorrow we'll be continuing this
QA.
session with Lama Gursam and with more discussion like this.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay? All right, so now we go to our dedication book, please. Was there anything that you wanted to
No,
close
no,
with?
please.
Okay, so we go to our dedication book. We'll do a short dedication, the Dharma prayer. By the virtues collected in the 3 times, by myself and all beings in samsara and Nirvana, and by the nature of virtue, may I
and all sentient beings quickly attain unsurpassed, perfect
and precious enlightenment. May the teachings of the great Sri Kumpa Ratna Shri, who is omniscient, Lord of the Dharma, Master of interdependence, continue and increase through study, practice, contemplation, and meditation until the end of samsara. Om, Ah, Om, Om, Ah, Om, Om, Ah, Om. May my body, speech, and mind become inseparable with the body, speech, and mind of all the enlightened ones for the benefit of all sentient beings. Thank you all very much. Thank you. I hope to see you all tomorrow, and thank you for joining us tonight. Talk to you soon.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Good evening.
Thank you. Good night.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.